Hi, I'm Chad. I work at Daily, and I'm going to be your video tour guide for this series on Daily's infrastructure. My job title is Solutions Engineer. It's one of those titles that can mean different things at different companies. What it means here is that I spend a lot of time talking to people who are trying to make something awesome with real time video on the internet. Maybe it's a former teacher and her business partner trying to make online tutoring accessible to low income families. Maybe it's an engineer from a company you've definitely heard of, and they're trying to upgrade an aging tech stack to a vendor with modern tools that can actually support their scale. Maybe it's two old college roommates building a new virtual trivia game that does some clever things with your camera and mic, so you couldn't even play this game in person if you wanted to. The main reason I end up talking to them is that they've come to the same conclusion that we have at Daily. Real-time interactive video is the future of the internet, but it's still just pretty hard to do it well. One-way video is pretty mature by comparison. Believe it or not, kids, there was a time when YouTube and Netflix videos would start playing for a few seconds, and then you get this spinner wheel thing while the next section of the video tried to load, and you couldn't skip anywhere until you downloaded the whole thing. I know, sounds crazy, right? But building real-time interactive video in real-world conditions is a fundamentally different problem to solve. It relies on a lot of that same expertise and history from the one-way video world, but also an entire other set of new skills and APIs to master. Of course, if you want to make any of the stuff I mentioned before, you're supposed to be able to do all of this in addition to everything you've already learned about education or telehealth or whatever you're doing. It's kind of a lot. So back to Infrastructure Week. At Daily, we've been doing a lot of work on the real-time video part for you. I started at Daily a little over 2 years ago after I got laid off in the middle of the pandemic. At the time, I still thought of WebRTC as this up-and-coming tech that was being thrust into the limelight by a global lockdown. When I joined, I was blown away by the skills of the people here. This is a bunch of nerds that have been doing WebRTC since well before it was cool. This week, we're going to show you what those nerds have been up to and how it means you can have 100,000 people in a call together. Seriously. And as much as we love throwing that number around, we're also the kind of nerds that know that the quantity is meaningless if the quality isn't there. We care deeply about call quality and reliability. I think it's company policy that this phrase has to appear in any presentation with a Daily logo in it. Everybody loves the Alan Kay quote, simple things should be simple, complex things should be possible, right? Daily's infrastructure makes complex things possible that weren't even possible at all up until very recently. Things like a stadium's worth of people in the same WebRTC call, or an interactive live fitness class that's adaptable to big screen TVs and phones, and it's also a fully polished video on demand resource the moment the instructor hits the stop button, or 50 millisecond latency to 5 billion people. We want to show you this stuff because we're proud of the work we've done, and we think it's really good. But more importantly, we're excited for you to use it to its full potential. We think the future is full of telehealth appointments that aren't terrible, and webinars where you can make the ASL interpreter's video bigger than the speaker's video if you want, and pair programming where you don't have to smell Derek's coffee breath over your shoulder. Like, how did it get worse when he switched to cold brew? We can't do all those things, but that's where you come in. You have all sorts of awesome, complex ideas, and we've built the infrastructure that makes those complex ideas possible for you to build. The blog post has a lot more about the tech we'll be talking about this week. There's a link down in the description. I just got kind of all wound up thinking about all the awesome stuff you can make. I promise the rest of the videos will be way more focused on the technology, and I can say that because I've already made them. So thanks for joining us and stay tuned.